Thank you. The very first thing that I saw was a very close-up picture of what looked like a lawn, like grass, a lawn. And then there was a separating of two types of lawns. So there started to become like a separation. And on one side, on the left side, as I'm looking at it, is a good about 3 inches worth of grass, healthy grass. There's nothing wrong with it, it's healthy. And to be honest, there really wasn't a whole lot wrong with the grass on the other side, yet the people on the other side continued to like mow and mow and mow until there was like just a half an inch of grass. And they just were like, no, we need artificial grass. So they replaced it with artificial grass. And then after they did this, there was an even more widening gap separating the two. And at this point, I could see down into the gap, and these things that looked like stones were dropped into the gap. Maybe, I don't know what size it was, but as far as like if it was a real lawn, it might have been like, 5 inches apart. And these stones ended up turning into bugs, and they crawled underneath and went on the side where the artificial turf was and began to break the roots of whatever was there, whatever was left. And at this exact same time, I saw the root system of the other side, the left side, and there were roots, and there were actually bugs as well. And this I don't understand, but I think the bugs came down from the grass, and they were littler, and they were on the roots, and they were producing some sort of liquid onto the roots. And I don't know. What I think happened here was, whatever that was, I saw something. I think I think these were connected to each other. I'm not 100%, but I think these were connected, because the next thing that I saw were these like really big flowers kind of rise up in the midst of this grass that there was no anything going on, that was no death, and it was lush. It was nice. It was a nice lawn. I'm guessing there was some sort of like weed flower, and the middle part sort of opened up and like a dust came out, like a poison came out.
Of the flower? Of
the flower middle part. It almost had a mouth, so like it had like maybe some flowers on the outside, and the white part in the middle was like opened, and this like poison came out. And at this point, I saw you, and you were off even further on the left, and it was so interesting because it was like you were in an action film. It felt like it felt out of place because it was just like lawn, and then all of a sudden you're over here to the left, and you're in this machine, and you are like the superhero of all superheroes. You have all kinds of different weapons that you're using to counteract anything that's happening that's negative. So you're there and you're waiting and you're ready to destroy. You've got missile things even going on to the other side of that gap in the land that had the turf. You're battling stuff there. You're taking out these little weed flower things. You're just like, there's a bazillion things, kind of stuff coming out over you. You're just sending out information, sending out, things, battle type things to destroy different things here, there, and there, and there, and there. And then all of a sudden, something changed, and what happened was the machine also, I forgot one thing, it also had these pointing things that were digging into the soil. So it was kind of like cultivating the soil, maybe. That was part of one of the things. I saw that part very clearly as one of the things that you were doing as well, with these things, and they were kind of moving on. This machine was, it was part of this machine that you were sitting in it, and you had the availability to obviously do all these things that it was doing, but that was one of the things it was doing. And then after that, the glass part that was in front of you, it actually, something came down over the glass, and it was, it reminded me of navigation, and it reminded me of like a blueprint of some sort. So you no longer had to like go at this thing with what, so quickly and so like, okay, I gotta do this, and doing all these different things. This navigation came on, and it showed you exactly what needed to be done, and it was almost like, oh, and you got to like push a button there. And there was still all the things to be done, but this new system that came up enabled you to be like, it would like pinpoint things and you'd be like, okay, and then this would happen here and you'd be like, okay, and it was just still an important, intense task, but now that this new setup was here,
Not overwhelmed by it.
yes, it was, and it was giving you the information.
Yeah.
So that way, when Emmanuel had said like something, he said something like, he'll no longer be like overwhelmed by it. I have seen that take place to where it's not like, you know, ever the scenery changed or it's not like anything was less important, but now that that navigation system was there, everything was just clear and you were able to kind of go about it.
That's beautiful. You should be happy about that one. So you don't get tired all the time. You can see some tea and some coffee, stuff like that. So get some barbecue going.
Was that in there?
Yeah. Well, that's very important function of that machine.
Okay. Barbecue stew.
Yeah.
Oh.
But what do you think? You were thoughtful.
I am very thoughtful.
Yeah. You asked the flower. Is that flower? So you have some thought.
On the flower?
I don't know. In general.
I have lots of thoughts, but I don't think I have thoughts to share. So.
She is so wise. That's terrible.
If I feel like it's good to share, I will share it with you. Absolutely.
Oh wow. Okay.
We shouldn't just share every thought we have, right?
No, I don't think so.
Only the ones that have been taken captive.
Yeah, that's
Which is
right.
why I'm not
Taking
gonna share.
captive. Yeah, make sure they have a leash on it. That's
Yeah.
You have a vision for Noah and wrap up after that.
Yeah, one for Noah and one for Elijah as well.
Oh wow.
Um,
Elijah. Man, the man of the corner.
I don't know what one you want me to do first.
Whichever. Yeah.
Okay, so just for Noah, I saw, with water too, that's why that was interesting. We were on the water front here. Oh, the Lord is anyway. I saw a couple different streams as well coming down, and then originally I was thinking usually when the Lord speaks in like power, you think like these huge giant waterfalls in these vessels, just like the one that you saw. But the Lord was showing me very clearly that I saw this foot kind of walk over the ground. And it was this tiny little stream that was coming down. And so this tiny little stream was coming down, and you can even see some of the turmoil, like some of like what would be at the end of a waterfall, how that's powerful, that kind of happened. But it made its way down into this water area. But the Lord just said a few things in regards to this vision, is that this water, the land that it was around, this water nourished this land incredibly. And you can see like the vital nutrients in the land that was supplied to it because of this little stream. And that this stream was the only water source. The other land far out from this was dry. There was nothing to water it. It had no source of life at all. But this land here that was around it was full and lush and like overflowing beauty and full of the Spirit. Like the water, the stream I believe was representing you. And the Lord was clearly saying, you know, it's not small. It's showing that it's small. Like there's people walking over you, you know, like people could possibly miss you altogether, not notice you, disregard you because of the size of you. But the small things is what God is using to literally nourish the entire land and give it everything that it needs to not only survive but thrive in a strong capacity, like an abundance of strength. And so, yes, it will be overlooked by some because of its size. People will walk right over it because of its small, you know, and it seems, you know, trickling, or it doesn't even seem trickling. It's flowing nicely, but it's so tiny in comparison, I guess. But it's unbelievably important. There's just no surviving without it. There's literally no surviving without this tiny little stream right here. So that's what the Lord was showing me about that.
That's great. New streams and streams.
Yeah.
In the desert. Gentle stream, long. Isaiah 8. We just talked about that a little bit. So, yeah. Well, we need to wrap it up. I mean,
What about Elijah?
oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Elijah,
So-
yeah.
The wrapping's coming.
The wrapping's
it's
coming.
super
Yeah.
tiny.
That was one side, the other
Sorry,
one.
sorry.
Yes, it's tiny. So
Elijah, I'm sorry.
Drag it
So
off.
bad. You in the corner. It's like it's harder to
Alright.
to look at you. Sorry, awkward. I'm embarrassed.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, so I saw this car in a factory, and like the way that a factory works, obviously it's a very smooth process, and it puts all these parts in the car together, and it puts it perfectly together, and then it goes down this assembly line, and it continues on, and when it's almost done, they start to paint it and all these things like that. But this particular car was coming down the assembly line, fully finished on the inside. Not on the outside, but on the inside. But it was split in half down the middle. And so as it's coming down this assembly line, it's like trying to find itself to be put back together again. But it's having a little bit of trouble. Like it's kind of going not opposites, because it's going the same way. It's not, whatever, but it can't quite get itself together yet. And so it's trying to do that as it's going down this assembly line. And that was it. Oh, and then immediately I saw, for some reason, this goes together. How to get it to kind of put itself back together and like reclaim its shell and kind of put all the pieces back together, because it was literally sliced in half, had to do with the chamber of a gun being closed, if that makes sense. Like an old-fashioned gun that had the bullets that spin and it closes in the chamber.
A revolver?
Yeah, like a revolver. And the gun just kind of, the chamber with the bullets, it closes in and locks, and it can't be moved. I think there's like, what, 6, 7 bullets or something
Depends on the gun.
in there. But that was related somehow.
Locked and loaded.
I literally have no idea what that means.
I know what it means.
You sure? Go ahead.
Even the car part is from experience that I've had recently and growing in spiritual things and the life of the Lord. I think my interior self is ready, and I know, because in a sense I know what I'm pursuing. So my interior is ready to pursue what the Lord has for me. But maybe the outside means that I'm obviously not perfect, and I'm not finished. So there's still things that need to be worked on, and the splitting is kind of a two-sided part of me, because I mean everyone does, but I struggle with two sides of myself. One that pulls towards myself and worldly things, and another that pulls towards the spiritual man and the work of God. And I feel like that splitting is what that means. I'm not really sure what the gun part means, but
You took it by that way. I thought you had one answer about that
Locked and
one.
loaded.
Lock and loaded.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Ready to fire.
Oh wow. Andy, you got a gun go here. Get some games going on, mix. Yeah. Well, we're
Well,
wrapped up.
you don't lock and load until your ammo's put
Yeah.
in. So you need to be.
Was there no ammo in it then?
Oh,
I think there was.
some animals.
Well, but the whole point of having the revolver outside the chamber is to load it.
Yeah.
And then once it's loaded, then you lock the chamber in and it's ready to fire at that point.